You've seen it before. Someone lies, and there's no clear benefit, no reward, no escape from consequences, no real reason at all. And yet they still do it. Maybe it was a small thing, a detail that didn't matter, a story slightly twisted, or a completely unnecessary denial, even when the truth would have been easier. What unsettles you isn't just the lie itself. It's the question that follows: why? Why would someone risk trust for nothing? Why would they create a false reality when the real one was perfectly acceptable? And here's the part most people don't want to admit. You've probably done it too. Not because you're a bad person, not because you're trying to manipulate someone, but because something deeper, something automatic, took control in that moment. Most people think lying is always strategic, calculated, intentional, but the truth is far more uncomfortable. Some lies aren't planned at all. They're reflexes, patterns, emotional reactions buried so deep, even the person lying doesn't fully understand why they're doing it. And once you begin to recognize this pattern, you'll start seeing it everywhere. In conversations, in relationships, even in yourself. And it will completely change how you understand honesty. Before we go deeper, I want to be clear. Everything discussed on this channel is strictly for educational purposes. Understanding dark psychology is about building awareness, not weaponizing it. If you or someone you know is in a harmful situation, please seek support from a licensed professional. This is a space for growth, clarity, and protection, nothing else. So let's talk about this strange behavior, lying without a clear reason. At first glance, it doesn't make sense. Most of us are taught that people lie for gain, to avoid punishment, to get something they want, or to protect themselves. But what about the lies that don't serve any of those purposes? The small, unnecessary ones. The ones that slip out in normal conversations. Imagine this: someone asks you a simple question, and did you finish that task? You hesitate for half a second, and then say, yeah, almost done, even though you haven't even started. There was no pressure, no threat, no consequence in telling the truth. Yet the lie came out automatically. This is where things get interesting, because these kinds of lies aren't about logic. They're about psychology. They reveal something deeper, emotional patterns, subconscious fears, and learned behaviors that operate beneath awareness. Understanding this isn't just about catching others in lies. It's about recognizing a hidden system that shapes how people present themselves to the world, and how easily truth can be distorted without intention. And once you understand why people lie without reason, you gain a powerful advantage, not to control others, but to protect your perception of reality. Layer 1, the reflex of self-protection. At the surface level, even unnecessary lies often come from a subtle form of self-protection. Not from danger, but from discomfort. Human beings are wired to avoid even the smallest moments of tension, awkwardness, judgment, embarrassment. So when a situation feels even slightly uncomfortable, the brain reacts instantly, sometimes faster than conscious thought. The lie becomes a reflex. For example, someone asks, "Did you understand what I explained?" Instead of admitting confusion, the automatic response is, "Yeah, I got it." Not because they want to deceive, but because admitting the truth would create a moment of vulnerability, and the brain avoids that vulnerability at all costs. Why this matters is simple. Not all lies are intentional manipulation. Some are emotional defense mechanisms. If you recognize this pattern, you stop taking every lie personally and start understanding what the person is trying to protect. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Layer 2, the habit loop of dishonesty. Most people stop at the idea of defense, but the deeper layer is habit. Small lies repeated over time become automatic behavior. The brain learns, this works, this avoids discomfort. Keep doing it, and eventually, it stops questioning whether the lie is necessary at all. It just happens. Think about someone who exaggerates stories. At first, it might have been to impress others, but over time, exaggeration becomes their default way of speaking. Even when there's no need to impress anyone, the behavior continues, without purpose. This is how unnecessary lying becomes part of someone's identity. They're not consciously choosing to lie every time. They're following a pattern that's been reinforced over and over again. And this is where things become dangerous. Not because of the lies themselves, but because of how invisible they become. When a behavior feels normal, it stops being questioned, and that means the person may not even realize they're doing it anymore. Most people miss this completely, but you need to see the next layer. Layer 3, control and identity. At the deepest level, unnecessary lying is often about control and identity. Not control over others, but control over how one is perceived. Every person has an internal image of who they want to be: confident, capable, interesting, successful. And when reality doesn't perfectly match that image, even slightly, the mind fills in the gap with a lie. Not to deceive others in a harmful way, but to maintain a consistent identity. For example, someone who sees themselves as reliable might say they completed something, even when they didn't, because admitting the truth would create a crack in that identity. And the brain resists that crack, so it patches it instantly with a false version of reality. Why does this matter for you? Because when you recognize this pattern, you stop focusing only on what someone is saying and start paying attention to why they need to say it that way. And that changes everything. Here's the truth most people never realize. Unnecessary lying isn't really about deception. It's about disconnection. Disconnection from reality. Disconnection from self-awareness. And sometimes, disconnection from emotional honesty. The person lying often isn't trying to fool you. They're trying to maintain a version of themselves that feels safer than the truth. And the more they rely on that version, the more natural it feels. Until the line between truth and fabrication becomes blurred, not just for others, but for them as well. This is why confronting unnecessary lies doesn't always work the way people expect. Because you're not just challenging a statement, you're challenging the identity behind it. And most people will defend that identity, even if it means continuing the lie. This is the moment where perception shifts. You stop asking, why are they lying? And start asking, what are they trying to protect? And that question reveals far more than the lie ever could. The first strategy is what I call pause before reaction. When you notice a lie, don't immediately confront or react emotionally. Take a step back and observe the pattern. This gives you clarity instead of impulsive judgment and helps you understand whether it's a defensive reflex or something deeper. The second strategy is look for consistency, not perfection. No one is perfectly honest all the time. Instead of focusing on isolated moments, pay attention to repeated patterns. Consistency reveals intent and helps you recognize whether someone's behavior is habitual or situational. The third strategy is create low-pressure environments. Sometimes people lie because they feel judged even when they're not. By responding calmly and without immediate criticism, you reduce the need for defensive dishonesty. This doesn't excuse the behavior, but it helps you see the truth more clearly. The fourth strategy is strengthen your own self-awareness. Pay attention to the moments when you feel the urge to bend the truth. Ask yourself what discomfort you're trying to avoid. The more aware you become of your own patterns, the easier it is to recognize them in others and protect yourself from them. Think about the last time someone told a lie that didn't make sense. No clear benefit, no obvious reason. Now ask yourself this: were they trying to deceive you, or were they trying to protect something within themselves? And more importantly, have you ever done the same without realizing it? People don't always lie because they want to manipulate reality. Sometimes they lie because reality feels uncomfortable to face. And when you understand that, you stop seeing lies as random acts and start recognizing them as patterns. Patterns you can observe, patterns you can understand, and patterns you can protect yourself from. In our next video, we're going to expose a behavior pattern that looks harmless on the surface,